Top 10 Most Intimidating Fighters in MMA History. Intimidation. The act of striking fear into the heart of your opponent. It's a tactic that's useful for many people across many walks of life, but it's especially effective for the warrior. If you can sow the seeds of doubt into your adversary's mind, you may have won the battle before it ever even started. There's a lot of factors that go into being intimidating. Appearance is the most obvious, but mental sharpness, reputation, and physicality, like body language, are all factors as well. Standing next to a giant can make you feel small, but so can being on the receiving end of a tongue lashing from a quick-witted trash talker. Similarly, facing off against an opponent who has a reputation for the absolute annihilation of their opponents is a quick trip to feeling scared. Being fearful probably isn't something you'd associate with a professional MMA fighter. After all, these people get paid to step into a cage and beat the crap out of each other. However, some fighters are so naturally terrifying that even the bravest souls would feel intimidated in their presence. That's why in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the top 10 most intimidating fighters in MMA history. Number 10. Featherweight McGregor. What's an MMA top 10 video without a bit of controversy? The fanboys and the haters are going to be gearing up at each other in the comments section, but there's a good justification for including the 145-pound version of Conor McGregor on this list. The timing seems a little off considering the last 5 years of his career. After all, there's nothing much intimidating about sitting on the canvas with a broken leg, screaming insults at your opponent's wife after you just got your ass handed to you for the second straight fight. But prime featherweight McGregor was a different animal. This was back when his trash talk was sharp and funny, his charisma was off the charts, and he had one of the best traveled fan bases in the sport. Not only did the weight cut to 145 make Conor look like a strung-out Irish crackhead ready to spring out from an alleyway to steal your Lucky Charms, but he was a master of getting inside his opponent's head. Conor would talk circles around his opponents, getting them flustered before they even stepped into the cage. On top of that, back in his heyday, the Irish fan base came out in force to support him. No matter where he went, the Irish fans were there to have his back. Diego Brandão even said in their fight build-up that they were going to have the rematch in Brazil, basically admitting that he knew he was going to get knocked out. Even Dustin Poirier, who has since avenged his loss to McGregor twice, said his aura and presence intimidated in their initial matchup. Number 9. Chris Cyborg. If you found a random person who had no idea what MMA was and asked them to describe what they think a professional female fighter would look like, they'd probably describe Chris Cyborg. Jacked to the gills with a face that says, "Yeah, I might have killed people, so what?" Chris Cyborg has made a career out of manhandling her opponents in brutal fashion. She's the only lady to make this list, but make no mistake, if you're a dude watching this video, there's about a 90% chance she'd kick your ass. She may have gotten worked pillar to post by Amanda Nunes, but be honest, if you were walking home alone at night, would you rather see lovable Amanda Nunes walking towards you, or a juiced-up Wanderlei Silva in a dress coming for the kill? Number 8. Brock Lesnar. The first thing most people probably think of when they think of an intimidating person is size. Well, Brock Lesnar has got plenty of that. The WWE turned UFC heavyweight champion is an absolute unit, standing at 6'3" and walking around near 300 pounds. Anytime a heavyweight has to cut to make the 265 limit, you know he's a giant dude. Brock's hulking appearance is probably what initially landed him his gig in pro wrestling. The guy looks like a henchman from a James Bond movie, with a giant block head, broad shoulders, and a trench knife tatted down the middle of his chest. His UFC career came with mixed results, but in terms of physicality, it doesn't get much scarier than having to stand across from Brock Lesnar. Number 7. Uberim. You probably wouldn't want GMO hormones injected into your beef. But if you were an MMA fan in the early 2010s, you might be okay with steroids being injected into your favorite Dutch kickboxer's horse meat. The pre-US 88 days of the UFC were a trip, and Overeem is a prime example. Alistair Overeem was a beast in Pride and seamlessly transitioned to the UFC in 2011. It wasn't just that the Demolition Man was huge, standing at 6'4" and cutting to 265. It was also the fact that he had a reputation for knocking people's blocks off. Imagine having to step in front of an 8-pack Overeem knowing full well he's injected with enough juice to open a smoothie shop, enough horse meat to start a racetrack, and he's probably going to knock you into another dimension. Pretty terrifying if you ask us. Number 6. Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva doesn't look particularly intimidating. He's also a very nice and respectful guy, so the people who went up against him didn't have to worry too much about trash talk. So why is the middleweight GOAT on the list? To put it simply, Anderson Silva in his prime was untouchable. Put yourself in this scenario. You've worked your ass off your entire life in pursuit of a world championship. You put countless hours at the gym, sacrificed your social life, and put all other priorities on the back burner, just so you can be made to look like an absolute amateur against Anderson Silva. When he was on his legendary run, Anderson Silva didn't look human. It was like someone was playing a video game or choreographing a fight scene for a Hollywood movie. Not only was the Spider going to knock you out, he was going to make you look stupid in front of all of your friends and family, and millions more around the world while doing it. In a legendary interview years after his fight with Anderson Silva, Forrest Griffin described the experience as being like some kid trying to fight his dad. He looked at me like I was stupid for trying to punch him. Then he punched me. Number 5. Wanderlei Silva. They don't call you an axe murderer because you seem like a nice guy. That's a nickname you earn by being a ferocious mauler who devastates his opponents, looking like a crazed beast while doing it. That's who Wanderlei Silva was, especially during his Pride days. Journalists have described Silva's fighting style as feral with a terrifying ferocity, known for his brutal and relentless Muay Thai. This is a guy who had no qualms soccer kicking you like he was playing FIFA with the boys, and then smiling about it like he just scored a goal by knocking out your teeth. Wanderlei Silva is the kind of guy you bring with you to the bar to guarantee you don't get in a fight, because nobody is going to mess with that guy. Number 4. Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib the Eagle Nurmagomedov is one of those fighters where everyone knew what he was going to do, and yet there was nothing anyone could do to stop it. He was going to close in on a single leg, chain wrestle you against the fence, and then maul you with a ground and pound. Oh yeah, he's also going to talk to you while beating the crap out of you. In his fight against Michael Johnson, he kindly told MJ that he had to give up so he could fight for the title. At least you can't call him inconsiderate. He also gave fans the classic moment of telling McGregor, "Let's talk now," before raining down ground and pound during their bout at UFC 229. In the build-up to that fight, Khabib said that he wanted to change McGregor's face, which Joe Rogan stated was the scariest piece of trash talk he had ever heard. Khabib's stone-cold attitude and quippy broken English made for a frightful combination, and it makes sense given that he comes from one of the most violent and desolate areas of Russia. You get the sense that when you grow up in Dagestan, stepping into an octagon to fight seems like a walk in the park. Number 3. Mirko Cro Cop. Right leg hospital, left leg cemetery. Need we say more? Mirko Cro Cop Filipovic brought a certain kind of Eastern European stoicism that was especially terrifying when paired with his propensity to head kick people into the netherrealm. There's a matter-of-fact way about Cro Cop that probably dates back to his early years as a special officer in the Croatian army. His role in the Croatian army? He was part of ATJ Luko, an elite unit specializing in anti-terrorism. Imagine a Navy SEAL in MMA with head kicks that make people go night-night. Given his practically emotionless delivery, it's probably a safe bet that Crow Cop saw some crazy things in his days in the military. Add to that the who's who of vanquished opponents from his days in Pride and K1, and you've got a perfect mix for an absolutely unnerving fighter. Number 2. Francis Ngannou. If appearances and physicality are the high marks for intimidation factors, then there is no MMA fighter scarier than Francis Ngannou. The UFC's first African heavyweight champion is a wrecking ball of destruction. He's not just big, standing at 6'4" and cutting to the 265 limit. He's absolutely jacked with a crazy long 83-inch reach. On top of that, he holds the record for the hardest PSI punch in world history. Let's repeat that. Out of all the punchers who ever recorded the force of their punch, nobody hits harder than Francis Ngannou. Ngannou set the record in 2017 when he delivered a punch worth 129,161 units in pounds per square inch, shattering a record previously held by kickboxer Tyrone Spong. Dana White helped put that into layman's terms when he described getting hit with a Francis Ngannou punch as being more powerful than a 12-pound sledgehammer swung full force overhead. You might think, so what? It's easy to register that kind of force on an inanimate object, but can he do it in the cage? Yes, my lord, can he. Remember when we mentioned Uberim? Well, Alistair Overeem's normal form got launched airborne by a Francis Ngannou uppercut. That's right, a 6'4", 280-pound-plus man went airborne after getting hit with an uppercut. If that's not nightmare fuel, nothing is. Number 1. Fedor Emelianenko. He may not be the most physically intimidating, nor is he a master trash talker, but that didn't hold Fedor Emelianenko back from our number 1 spot. This is a guy who devastates men with powerful knockout blows or snaps their joints with powerful submissions, and then barely reacts. In fact, raising a fist is about all the emotion you can expect from the Russian heavyweight. He's not the biggest heavyweight fighter. In fact, in a weird way, his bald head, round face, and fight shorts kinda make him look like a giant baby beating the crap out of much bigger men. Some fans like fiery fighters, but Fedor Emelianenko is pure ice. He is stoicism personified. He makes the same face whether he's knocking someone out, buying groceries, breaking their arm in a Kimura, or taking a dump. He's so cold, one has to wonder if he only started raising a celebratory fist because he thought that's what other, more normal people do. There's something honestly terrifying about a man so truly unshakable. One gets the sense that he wouldn't even blink if you held a gun to his head. It helps that he's one of the greatest fighters ever, too. His run in Pride was legendary, beating the best of the best without ever showing a shred of human emotion. That's why he's our top choice for the most intimidating fighter in MMA history. What do you guys think of our list? Which choices do you agree or disagree with? There were a lot of fighters to choose from, so we couldn't include all of them. Who didn't make the list that you think should have? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit like and subscribe for future MMA content. Thanks for watching.